Hello, everybody. Uh, it's pretty wild to to be at this point already. Um, but this is, there's so many favorite parts of this internship um, that we see, on this side um, of this program. From getting to know you, getting to interview you, getting to know you, and then start doing the check-ins and just growing with you and just listening about all the things that you were doing. And so this presentation means a whole lot just because we get to see what you've been up to, and so does the rest of the team and the rest of your cohort. And so this is definitely one of those cool times to just be able to see and connect, mostly what everybody's been up to these couple of months that have just flown by. And so yeah, I'm excited to see the presentation, and I'm excited to have some of your supervisors be here, and just excited to share this program and what y'all been up to with anybody who will be seeing this recording. But um, yeah, I'll let Stephanie and Darden and Claudia chime in before we get started.
Yes, I'm excited for you all to present. I'm looking forward to hearing about all of your accomplishments and the program highlights and just how your experience has been. It was awesome to meet you in Colorado at the start of this internship, and it's crazy to think now that we're at the end. So I want to congratulate you all on doing an excellent job. And I know your presentations will be filled with a lot of valuable experiences and information. So I just congratulate you all, and I look forward to seeing your guys' presentations and hearing about your experience.
Absolutely want to echo what Jose and Stephanie said. We're all so proud of everything y'all have done this summer, and it's been great to follow along with the blogs and hear updates through the group me and see all y'all's photos and hear about all the different fish and birds that y'all were seeing along the way and see as y'all expanded your skills and learn new things, got to spend time in the fields, got to probably spend a few days in an office and get a feel for what that's like as well. So yeah, really looking forward to hearing some, good stories, statistics and seeing all the highlights. So everyone should be really proud of yourselves and a huge congratulations from everybody here at EFTA.
Yes, thank you. And with that, very well said, Claudia. We're going to go ahead and get started. So, welcome to the Fish and Feathers farewell and final presentation for the 2026 cohort. So, here you are, all of you, excited to get to your sites. Uh, Here's a schedule. So we'll just kind of get started. And Nate is our first person today, which is awesome. Nate, if it's okay, I'll just kind of scroll through and you just let me know, or when you're ready, and we can do that. But here goes.
Yeah, thank you, Jose. So, as Jose said, I'm Nathaniel Faulkner. I also go by Nate. I've had the pleasure of serving at Abraham Lincoln's birthplace this summer, and we'll get started. Hmm. Does it look okay on your screen right now?
It looks a little funky.
See if you can go back into it and see if it'll straighten out. I don't know, I've had that happen before.
Okay,
Hmm.
so it looks fine
There we
here.
go. That's better.
Let me see if it'll show it. Looks like it's in slide mode. It won't share it correctly.
Huh. Do you want to go through just like this?
Yeah, we can do it this way.
Okay, that's fine with me. All right, so just quick overview. I'm going to go through my duties and responsibilities at the park, some different events that I was able to take part in, some cool facts. I just got some stuff into some statistics there, and then I'll go into my key takeaways from this summer. So to start off my duties and responsibilities, my main goal was to spark curiosity in visitors that leads to education about fishing and birding. Kind of being at a historical site, it's a little bit different. A lot of people are there for the history of Abraham Lincoln. So kind of getting into those conversations about fishing and birding can be a little bit tricky. I found that doing stuff such as tabling and roving played a really good role in getting those conversations flowing. Whether if I was out walking around doing some birding myself, came across a visitor, it sparked up a conversation there, or just had some stuff out on the table and then they were curious to what I was doing, so they came up and started talking to me. So that was really how I kind of got those conversations flowing and really enjoyed that. And I also made a birding poster to kind of just start getting the idea about some birds around the birthplace. That's what my picture is there. It's just a bunch of common birds, and I would change out those birds about every week. And then I assisted with park duties when needed. If we were a little bit busy, I'd help out at the visitor center, always answer questions, whether if I was out walking around and someone had a question, I'd answer that for them. And I also got to help out with several events. One big event we did on the 4th of July was our naturalization ceremony. We had somewhere around 10 uh, people become new citizens, so that was really a great time and a really neat opportunity to take part in. And then above all, just help people enjoy their summer experience. So some educational events I got to help out with. These were a little challenging because they're different. At the birthplace, we don't have any on-site fishing. So we had a high school group come and I kind of found a way to do a fishing thing with that, even though there was no on-site fishing. I created a casting exercise just by taking a blue tarp and a hula hoop, and I taught them the basics of using a spinning reel. I just tied on a weighted bobber to the end of my line so I had no hook, so it wouldn't get tangled up in the grass if they missed the tarp, and then gave out some prizes for those who got it in the hula hoop. And then the next thing I did was I helped out at this visit to the Heartland Youth Villages. This was about 30 minutes from our birthplace site over in a different town called Barchtown. The challenge there was a classroom setting, so it's a little bit different to teach fishing in a classroom, but I put together a PowerPoint presentation on how to get started fishing because I had no idea what experience my audience had going into it, so I just assumed they knew nothing and worked from the ground up there. Also did a knot tying exercise. We had some 3D printed hooks that we printed at the birthplace, and I got some rope, taught them how to tie a knot. And then I made a fishing matching game. I just had like, I think it was 8 to 10 like real popular species of fish in the area. Did like location, whether if they're found in like lakes or streams or rivers, and then like in my own opinion, what's the best lure to use for them. So they kind of worked together with that and matched them all together. So for the main event, the bird walks and the fishing clinics, we scheduled 7 bird walks across 5 different days. So on a few days, we would do a bird walk at one location at like 11, and then we'd have one at 2. I partnered with a birder that lived about an hour away from the birthplace who had about 30 years of birding experience. She came along on 2 of those days and was a great resource to have and a good connection, and she taught me a lot. And was just good if I ever had any questions or tips for leading bird watch because she had done some herself too. So they primarily focused on IDing birds and how to get started birding. The rain caused a couple of the events to get rained out. That's a little bit of the bad part about having 2 bird walks on one days. But during these times, I would do some tabling education just right outside under the patio. And then for the fishing clinics, we scheduled 14 fishing clinic days. These were 3 hours apiece. They primarily covered pan fishing basics. We also did one on how to fillet a fish. That was last Saturday. This upcoming Saturday, we're going to do another one on how to fillet a fish, just some bluegill there. And then I didn't have any gear to teach bass fishing, but I did have some participants that came and had like their own tackle box and had some questions about bass fishing, so I helped them and gave them some quick tips on that. And above all, I had a blast doing the fishing clinics. It was so rewarding watching a kid catch the first fish ever. So I loved every moment of that. So some quick facts. I submitted over 26 eBirding checklists, and across those checklists, I found over 35 bird species during my time. If you don't count eBird and just everything I've found in general, if I'm just even driving down the road, I think that number is well above 70 now, but my eBird checklist, I think, has it like 67 right now. And throughout my time, I spent almost 1,500 minutes birding. That's just a little bit over 24 hours. The number is really high because I wanted to really get my knowledge going about birding, being a new birder. This was all new to me this summer, so I wanted to be able to have those experiences down so I could pass it on to people along my bird walks. And it really helped. I learned a lot this summer with that. And then for the fishing clinics, we had 42 hours total of fishing clinics, over 7 different species caught, and over 115 participants educated throughout those. Some key takeaways I found this summer, really my main one was just being genuine. I think being in such a social age where we're just kind of glued to our phone, when you have a genuine connection with someone whether it's at the park or at a fishing clinic, people just really love that, and that can just make someone's day and their trip so much more memorable. So I really liked being able to do that and make those connections with people. And no matter what interaction it was I had this summer, I was building social skills, so those are always good to have. And I think the more we go on and the more AI and everything goes on to advance, just having basic social skills will be such a key role in our life and career. Learning to plan was another thing that was really important to me this summer, whether it was planning bird walks, events for like fishing clinics, or educational trips. Planning was always a big part of that, getting ready and having everything prepped, ready to go. Schedule management, they can get busy. So kind of breaking that apart with what days I'm going to be in the office working on something, if I'm working on my blog post, or if I'm getting ready for a fishing clinic coming up. Those are all good management skills there. And of course, with any job, you get career skills such as working with coworkers. I worked with a great group of people at the birthplace. I had no complaints, but it was a great time. And it's just different talking to a coworker than what you would your friends. So everybody, I'm sure, understands that. And then building connections and networking with local people in the area, whether if it was birding or at fishing clinics. So I had a great time doing that as well. Cool. And just last thing, for thanks and questions, some special thanks to the Environment for the America staff. They have done a phenomenal job this summer. They did an amazing job planning the workshop in Colorado. I had an absolute blast. You could just tell they had it all down, and it was super well organized. And I can't be thankful enough for them. They were always in reach. If I needed a question, I'd reach out. They were quick to get back with us. So just really, they've done a great job putting this together this summer. And then Abraham Lincoln Birthplace staff, they were a great crew to work with. They were flexible with me. If I had fishing tournaments this summer, they were great and always supportive of what I was doing. The city of Hodgenville, they were a big part because, like I said, we didn't have on-site fishing. So through them, we got a partnership with a couple different lakes around Hodgenville that we were able to do fishing clinics at. So they were really a key part in helping this all come together. My parents were always supporting me and doing what they do. Gotta love them and thank them. And then my friends made along the way. I loved meeting everybody at the workshop in Colorado. That was really the highlight of my summer. I loved meeting everybody and learn something new. So yeah, just thank you guys. And if we have any questions, just hit me with them. But if not, I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Nate.
Thank you.
Great, great job. Any questions, y'all? No. Just overall, just such a great time getting to know you, Nate. And you came in and you knew so much and you helped with the fishing in Colorado. And I think you became a bird person there, man. So really excited for you and keep us posted on anything you do. We're excited to stay in touch. But thank you so much for pushing yourself and just doing an amazing job. I know Stacy really appreciates you. But
Thank
thank you.
you all.
All right. Lex,
Hello.
There we
Okay.
go.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lex Mitchell, and I was this season's Fish and Feathers intern at Acadia National Park. Hopefully, this will work. Okay. Awesome. Wonderful. We have a lot of different programs that Acadia does. I have been a part of the education department here, um, which does field trip programs in the spring and the fall. And then in the summer, we do public programs. So some of our field trip programs are At Home in Acadia, which is for kindergarten through fourth grade. And that sort of just teaches them about some of the animals that live in the park, their homes, their habitats, their adaptations. We also do a shoreline discovery program, which is for third grade. And that program focuses on tide pooling and learning how to safely interact with nature for those who are doing it for the first time. Then we do the Great Fish Migration, which is a really, really fun program that's about alewives that migrate into inland waters in Maine and also about American eels that migrate. And then we also do a geology hike that's for middle schoolers. And we have a historic homestead on site that we sort of take kids to, and they can get to explore and learn about what it would have been like to be a kid at that time. And then we also do an open house at that homestead in the summer. It's Carroll Homestead. Some more of our summer programs are the campground family show that a ranger will do every evening at the campgrounds. We have our junior angler program, and we do junior ranger stations. And then we partner with a local museum to do a touch tank program where we have all kinds of marine creatures that people can come and see and touch and learn about. And on top of all of that, we just have specialty programs that we'll also do. We've been doing a lot of teacher workshops and having teachers from around the country come here and learn about how we educate people about nature, and then they can take some of those techniques back to their schools and their homes, and also teach people. I've learned a lot through this internship. I feel like I have changed as a person almost entirely over the past couple of weeks. It's been such an incredible experience. I've been able to do a lot of curriculum development and creating my own programs, as well as, tweaking ones that we already have here. Um, I've had to learn a lot about local geology and history and wildlife and a whole new ecosystem up here in Maine. I've learned about what happens at a national park. There's actually a lot more than I thought. There's so many different kinds of rangers and so much that happens in the park. Jose, can you go back actually? Wait, sorry. Okay, awesome. And sort of what Nate was saying earlier, I've feel like my social skills have gotten a lot better. Just talking to visitors and talking to people, having a lot of conversations with people of all kinds of backgrounds has been a big learning experience for me. On top of that, my fishing and birding skills, as we've all been learning how to do those things this summer, and teaching to diverse audiences, teaching people who maybe have never seen the ocean before and telling them about tide pooling, and people who don't really know how to hike and showing them what that looks like has been really fun and rewarding. And I can expand more on that on my next slide. Awesome. So some of my challenges that I've had have been creating that family program, the campground program that does in the evening at our campgrounds. Because at that program, anybody can come. You could have two people there. You could have 100 people there. You could have a bunch of 4-year-olds. You could have an old couple who's like 90 and they know everything about the park and they come here every year. So it could be anybody who comes, and I have to create a program that would be interesting and exciting for anybody who would join. So what I ended up doing was I wrote a program about how glaciers and water have shaped Acadia's landscape, and I made a pop-up book. And it's sort of like a giant flip book that I go through, and there's lots of fun graphics in it so that, for the little kids who don't really know what I'm talking about when I say glaciers shape the park, they're just like, I don't know what that means. They can still look at the pretty pictures, they can learn a little bit about some of the things that they can see in the park, and they get that enriching experience still. And then for the people who are able to better understand what I'm talking about and the science behind it, they can also get an enriching program from that. And then there's some interactive things that I do. There's some getting around and moving that I've put into that program. And then there's also things that I'll add in and take out depending on who my audience is for that day. So being able to do that program has been super rewarding because I feel like I've learned a lot more about educational techniques and, being able to connect with a wider range of audiences. This has been one of my first jobs where I've been working with a lot of adults. I'm used to teaching kids, and so teaching adults is a different ballgame, and I think that that has helped me to improve a lot. Another challenge has been living far from a major city. And I know that some of y'all are living like actually far from a major city, and I'm kind of not. But for me, as somebody who grew up in the suburbs of DC and has always been like able to get fast food and able to go to the grocery store and get an Uber and like do whatever I want to do, really, being somewhere out here where I have to work a little bit harder to get some of those comforts that I'm used to has been a struggle. But I'm adjusting to it. And it's been fun to kind of disconnect and, try new things and learn about what people like to do when they're, less connected to a bigger city. And it's been fun. This summer, I have been working a new schedule. It's been 4 10-hour shifts, which has been fun because I get a longer weekend, and that's super nice. But then also, it's kind of a long day sometimes. So that's been an adjustment. And it's also been an adjustment to kind of have freedom in my schedule. And we have a lot of prep time and exploring time and time to create new programs, time to explore the park. And so I've had to create my own schedule in a way. And I've had to learn how to balance, all the things that I want to do and trying to be really ambitious and proactive with also not overloading my schedule and giving myself some time to, sit in the office and research something or learn something or interact with my coworkers and learn from them as well. So that has been something that I've worked on this summer. And then lastly, a new biome. As I mentioned, I am from um, DC, the DC area. So we don't have like anything that they have in Maine. So it's been super fun to learn about all these new trees, all these new animals, all the ocean creatures that are up here. And I've really enjoyed that. Some of my successes have been at making friendships. I've made so many new friends this summer. I have gotten to explore and adventure and do all kinds of amazing things in the park. As I mentioned earlier, I've been learning about balancing my work and my play and not overloading my schedule, and I think that has been a success. And I have gotten a lot better at my interpretation, visitor interaction, and education skills throughout this summer. We can go to the next slide now. Some of my takeaways. Fishing and birding are actually kind of cool. Like, who knew? I didn't know that. It's been so much fun to get new hobbies, learn new skills, and be able to meet people through these new things that I'm able to do. I also kind of solidified that I really, really enjoy education. I have just graduated from college, and this is kind of my first post-college job, and so it's been nice to see that this path that I've been on throughout my education is actually taking me somewhere that I would like to be. That's been wonderful. Maine, pretty awesome. If you haven't been here, highly recommend it. This is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been in my life, and I've been to a lot of beautiful places. So gotta check it out if you haven't been up here. Another thing I've learned is that seasonal work is maybe something that I could do. That was something I wasn't really sure about coming into this summer, just because I don't really know anybody who's done seasonal work before, and it feels like there's a lot of uncertainty. It feels like there's a lot of change all the time, and that's something I wasn't sure I'd be comfortable with. But after meeting a ton of people who do a lot of seasonal work, it seems like maybe something that I could do. Um, Another takeaway that I've had is that visibility is very important. I am, I think, the only Black Ranger who's working at this park right now, the only one that I've met. And I've had lots of positive visitor interactions around that. Actually, just earlier today, I was on a teacher workshop program, and two of the teachers asked to take a picture with me because they've been doing STEAM in the park and they've been going around the Park Service, and I'm one of the only Black Rangers that they've seen. So they wanted to get a picture, and that was super cool to be able to be visible and to have that representation for them of seeing somebody who looks like them working in the Park Service. And also just being able to inspire kids who are coming into the park and lots of people who are able to see somebody who looks like them doing this job and know that that's something that they could do in the future as well. I have done 25 plus programs. I calculated this yesterday. It was 1,187 interactions. I had some more today, so it's maybe closer to 1,200 right now. And I have learned countless lessons. I feel so grateful that I've been able to do this job. I can't even express how rewarding it has been to be here at the park. Um, thank you so much. Last slide is my thank you. And I fortunately will be able to keep doing this job in the park because I'm going to be staying on at Acadia in the education department, doing exactly what I'm doing right now. So this has been so, so, so incredible. Thank you so much to the entire EFTA team. Thank you to all of the other interns, to everybody who works at the park with me. Um, this has been so awesome. Thanks.
Amazing, Lex. So cool. Um, love that you're gonna be sticking around. Love that you learned so much. Um, Super cool to see this, especially because I didn't get to do check-ins on with you, and so this is like a huge surprise for me. This is amazing. Does anybody have any comments or questions for Lex?
Have a quick question.
Go for it.
Hi,
Hi.
Joe.
Hi, Lex. Hi. So I love that education is something that really interested you. Because same, like I'm really interested in education after this internship. It's been really rewarding for me. I just want to know like what part of education stood out to you most that made you want to go into, you know, that area, that aspect of the parks.
That's a good question. I think it's really fun to be able to design programs that I'm interested in and also based on what people are interested in that I meet, and being able to sort of tweak whatever curriculum I design or whatever programs I create to whatever the interests are of my audience. I find that really, really exciting. I think we have, okay, at Acadia, we have interpretation and education as separate departments. I don't know if that's the same at every park, but our interpretation department does a lot of more. They do the front desk, they do the visitor center, they do that sort of thing, and the education does more of our field trip programs. And I really enjoy working with kids. That is one of my passions, and so that's why the education side appeals more to me. But this summer I have worked a lot more with adults, and that's been a lot of fun too. So I could see myself doing more of that as well. But thank you for your question, Jen. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. Okay, that's awesome. Wait, because we're kind of on similar things. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Also, congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, great job. All right. Joan,
Okay. Can you guys see me? Are you guys able to hear me? Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so good morning or afternoon or evening for my friends around the world. My name is Joan, Joan Tumakani, and I work at the beautiful Park of American Memorial Park here on the island of Saipan. So this is my host site where the main mission is basically to protect, preserve, and share the history of the American servicemen and the indigenous people of the island who passed away during World War II. So prior to this internship, I actually worked as a Kupu member at the same park. So Kupu is basically similar to EFTA in the sense that they're both nonprofit organizations and they serve similar missions in the sense that both organizations highlight the importance of environmental stewardship and education and conservation. This is also the reason that I applied for this position. Serving a mission of meaningful value is like really at the top of my list of priorities when searching for a job. And as you'll hear as I go more into the slides, that is exactly what I got out of this internship. Okay. And so you can go to the next slide. Awesome. So throughout my internship, I had the opportunity to wear many different hats, which made every day unique. A large part of my work focused on environmental education. So I developed and led programs about birds, fish, mangroves, and conservation, and the importance of protecting our natural resources in general. I also supported visitor center services by managing the front desk, assisting visitors, and handling opening and closing procedures um, so that the visitor center operated smoothly. I was also what you could call the secretary of the Rangers. So, whatever the Rangers needed, if they needed help with anything, I was their number one person to go to, which is I don't mind at all. I love the Rangers at the park. Everybody at the park, I love working with them. So, yeah, community outreach was another major responsibility. I helped organize and lead events such as World Migratory Bird Day, our sunset birding series, fishing workshops and clinics, volunteer events that also encourage community involvement in conservation. So if you see the picture to the left, that beach picture, that was one of the things that we have been emphasizing working on with the volunteers. It's just beach cleanups after the typhoon. It got really bad. So the volunteers have played a really a vital role in helping in just recovery and restoration for the park. So yeah, they've been pretty awesome. We actually had a volunteer appreciation event yesterday, which was great. Um, okay, next slide. All right. So some of my major projects. Some of the most rewarding experiences during this internship came from leading long-term projects. So the biggest project that I worked on was creating the Junior Angler program. This included developing a activity booklet and designing an interactive fishing presentation, both which tailored to the CNMI. So these specific, this booklet and this interactive presentation are both revolved around like the fishes of the CNMI, the fishing laws and regulations of the CNMI. Everything fishing in the CNMI, it's all in there. It's all in there. So that's actually this photo that the mouse is on, the Junior Ranger Angler. That's the cover page of the book that I made. So yeah, and these are actually pictures of previous fishing programs, some of which I had the pleasure of being a part of. So that was great. And then the fishing program itself, which is a 2-day thing. Well, the first day is the fishing workshop, second day is fishing clinic. So that's just the flyer, that photo on the bottom right, Hooked on Tradition, which is what we're calling it. That's the flyer for that whole program. And if you guys want to read a little bit on it, then please feel free while I'm talking. And so, yeah, um, this I also helped manage our fishing and birding gear library. Beyond organizing the equipment and taking inventory, I also developed a system of operations that standardized how gear is checked out, maintained, and returned, helping create a more efficient and sustainable program for future staff and visitors. These projects also allow me to combine my creativity, education, and organization while creating resources that will hopefully continue benefiting the park even after my internship. So fingers crossed. Yeah, next slide. So my impacts. One of the most rewarding parts of this internship has been seeing the measurable impacts of our programs. So, throughout the fishing and birding gear library, I assisted 15 community members in accessing equipment that they might not otherwise have had access to. In June, I led 5 different sunset birding programs that reached a total of 131 community members. I also facilitated a birding and mangrove education tour for 24 students from Dandan Middle School during the month of June. I conducted 125 informal educational talks with visitors, giving me countless opportunities to connect with people, with the parks and just its natural resources. I also help lead two junior angler fishing workshops. They haven't happened yet, but they are going to be a really big part of my internship here. Something I'm looking forward to a lot. So that's actually happening tomorrow. And I told Claudia I would keep her posted. So looking forward to that. But as of right now, we actually got a little bit over 20. When I first created this slide, it was 20 participants in total throughout the 2 weekends, but we've gotten more. So that's exciting. And yeah, while the numbers are important, oh, wait, this is the one Claudia told me to include. So throughout my internship, an estimated total mile of 966 miles I've traveled for work commute. And then for the workshop, just for the workshop, an estimated total mile of 13,070 total miles traveled for the Colorado workshop. Yeah, so um in total, the direct total of participants I reached is over 290 community members and visitors. And then the total miles traveled for this internship is an estimated 14,036 miles, which is just doing those numbers was crazy. Like actually adding it all up, I was so shocked. But yeah, it's been a great opportunity. So, but I mean, yeah, while these numbers are important, what means the most to me is the conversations and the curiosity and excitement I got to see from the participants. Just watching them learn more about birds and, conservation. I loved sharing my knowledge of birds because I didn't initially before going into this and before going into the sunset birding and everything, I was a little hesitant about whether the community members would actually be interested in these kinds of things, but they were. I mean, the numbers talk for themselves, so that was really rewarding. Okay, and then you can go to the next slide. So, some challenges. Like any internship, honestly, this experience came with its own share of challenges that ultimately, helped me grow. One challenge was researching accurate information um, for the Junior Ranger Angler program. So, because this material was intended for the youth, it needed to be both engaging and scientifically accurate. So, I learned how to verify information using official regulations, trusted sources such as our actual Department of Land and Natural Resources here, and feedback from my supervisors and partners, which ultimately strengthened my research and my educational content development skills. And another challenge was just continuing our programs while the island recovered from the recent typhoons. So yeah, that was definitely one of the bigger struggles for not just for me, but I feel like for my community as a whole. So, plans often had to change because of this, and flexibility became essential. This experience taught me resilience. It taught me patience and how to adapt to difficult certain circumstances while still accomplishing our goals. And then finally, promoting programs within the federal communications guidelines required careful planning, and I learned how to communicate effectively while following agency policies, which has been fundamental in, just developing my skills as a professional. It gave me a greater appreciation for professionalism and the importance of clear, appropriate public outreach. And yeah, so next slide. And so just some final thoughts. As I wrap up, I want to say how grateful I am for this opportunity. For everybody in EFTA, I'm grateful for the people that I've met. I think I've met some of the most amazing people I've met in my entire life so far. And it's just been such a pleasure um, getting to meet you guys in Colorado. It's definitely a culture shock being from such a far away place and then getting to know all of you guys. I was like pleasantly surprised at how like welcoming and how understanding everybody was with me being so far away from home. It was really nice. I miss you too, Sarah. I was just talking about you um with Claudia. Yeah, I miss you too. So yeah, this internship strengthened my skills in environmental education, public speaking, program development, research, and community engagement. But more importantly, it confirmed that I wanted to continue pursuing a career where I can educate others. So, um, yeah, that just making a meaningful impact on people, just it's a different kind of feeling, you know? And so even making a difference in my community has been so rewarding. And I'd like to thank Environment for the Americas, of course, and my host site, American Memorial Park, and really all of my supervisors and coworkers and all of you guys for your, your guidance, your tips about birding and like everything like that. Just, yeah, I want to thank you guys. The support throughout this experience has been immense, which is something that I can't emphasize how grateful I am for. So, yeah, thank you all for listening, and I'd be happy to answer any questions, any comments. Thank
Great
you.
job, Joan.
Thank you.
Nice to hear from you again, Joan.
Nice to hear from you too, Sarah. I miss you.
I miss you too.
All right. No questions. We'll keep going. Thank you so much. Great job. Althea.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Joan, that was awesome. I also miss you. But yeah, so hi everyone. My name is Althea Gagney. And this summer I was the Fish and Feathers intern for Blackstone River Valley National Historic Park in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Um, I grew up near the site, so when I learned of this opportunity, I made sure to jump on it, being so local and everything. Um, and yeah, let's begin. So the numbers. Over the course of the summer, I was able to lead 12 free fishing programs, visit 10 national parks sites across the U.S., not just in my neck of the woods. I was able to design 9 posters and flyers for my site's events and programs. I completed 8 nature walks where there was a focus on birding. I completed, or I will have completed, 7 blogs in about a week or so. I will have tabled 4 outreach events, 3 Blue Star Family events, and all in all, combined, it's been a pretty unforgettable summer. Thank you. Okay, so some of the challenges in my position here, one of them was that I encountered first was navigating a historic site, also being in an urban area. Going into this, of course, I knew it was a historic site, but I was not aware of just how much a focus there would be on that. But that's where I think my role was really important. I sort of brought a new perspective to my park here that I think is really important for getting more engagement across a range of different people. You know, some people are interested in history, some people are interested in birding, some people are interested in fishing, and I think I really helped to like bridge that gap there. Also, being in an urban area, it's kind of harder to create programs that are nature centered. So I sort of had to hone in on the like the green spaces and the natural parts of our site, and figure out where I could best lead programs in a way that was, you know, like not only like educational, but also giving like the best full picture of the natural wildlife and native plants and other such things in my area. Um, Another thing I struggled with was asking people to take my picture. For some reason, I don't like asking people to take my picture, and I always forget also while I'm like in the midst of something. So like I'll be doing a program and it'll end and I'll be like, oh no, I didn't take any pictures. Like I know I have to write about this and I don't have any pictures. um, but by the end, I kind of locked in and I was able to get more pictures taken. Another thing I encountered was working with kids. I'd worked with kids before, but I wasn't sure to like how, you know, what that would look like in this role, especially. So I sort of had to stay on my toes with that sort of thing. Um, you know, I never really knew what each week was going to look like, so I just had to like keep my mind ready for whatever the next week would bring. And that leads us to some successes of mine over the summer. Like I said, I was able to sort of bridge that history and nature together. And I've learned that, you know, history and nature are pretty intertwined. When you think about it, you know, you kind of can't get one without the other. I was able to also lead a handful of birding and fishing programs throughout the summer that garnered a good amount of engagement. We got good numbers from them. Um, Something else I'm proud of is being able to admit when I don't know something. There were a couple times when I would be asked a question that was like insanely specific or like super duper niche or like maybe just common and I didn't know it. And I had to learn to sort of like put my own personal, you know, pride aside and be like, I'm not sure, but maybe we can find out together. Maybe we can ask someone else. Maybe, you know, and give different avenues for people to get the answers to their questions. And lastly, I feel really proud about the interpretation skills I've developed this summer, working with a bunch of different people from, you know, all walks of life. I've really been able to sort of engaging with those people. I know how to like sort of be more on my toes, engage a vast sort of group of people in different activities and different programming for whatever event I'm doing, and sort of knowing where their needs needed to be met and sort of assessing that on the fly. Thank you. Yeah, so here are some highlights. I really enjoyed working with our partner organizations, and especially engaging local communities. With the Blackstone River Watershed Council, Friends of the Blackstone, this summer, we did a couple of fishing workshops for local communities in the area, primarily with children. We'd have them come down and we'd do like a couple hours of fishing and then we'd switch groups and then we kind of spent the whole morning into afternoon, lunchtime fishing. And it was really rewarding being able to, you know, be there when someone caught their first fish or, you know, helping people from sort of communities that are typically disinclined to engage with like fishing or birding or the environment in any way, sort of like ignite that interest in engaging with the environment. I spotted some lifers, of course, that's always fun. My eBird it's growing. The numbers are growing. Love that. And of course, teaching people how rewarding it is to engage with their natural environment. As I kind of mentioned a minute ago, there's really nothing like it. I've not experienced anything like that before. especially, I worked with children and I worked with, adults and older folks, and across the board, it's really so rewarding to watch someone sort of like have that click moment, be like, oh, this bird is, I see this every day, or, oh, I can catch a fish. You know what I mean? So I really found a lot of value in that. And some takeaways I have from this whole experience. Um, Firstly, is volunteers move mountains. I worked with a lot of volunteers, the volunteers in parks this summer, as well as people from our partner organizations who volunteer. And I was really in awe of the work that they do, just, out of the goodness of their own hearts and because they believe in the cause of whatever, yes, of whatever we're doing. And I think I think they should be more visible and they don't get their flowers enough. So I wanted to bring that up. Something else is, like I mentioned earlier, nature is history. Nature is historical, and history also contains nature. You kind of can't have one without the other, and they're both so interesting, and the way that they work together is really beautiful to me. And the last thing is a quote from Henry David Thoreau. Um, and wildness is the preservation of the world. That's something that has stuck with me this whole summer. And it can mean, that quote I feel can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But to me, that means that our wildlife, our natural spaces, our rivers, our parks, those spaces are the future, sort of. The way that we engage with them and the way that we teach others about them and the way that we conserve them now um, is so important in sort of dictating how generations to come, our children or children's children will interact with the environment and take care of the environment, be good stewards of the environment and their cultural resources and things like that. um, and I think that's really important. So yeah, and with that, that wraps up my time. I just wanted to thank you, EFCA, my colleagues here at Blackstone, the National Park Service, of course, the Blackstone River Watershed Council, all of my fellow interns here. I wanted to give a special thanks to my supervisor, Mark Mello, who's sitting across from me right now, Sarah Tresca, who will be helping me at my World Migratory Bird Day event on Saturday, and Claudia for being one of my biggest fans and supporters this summer.
Great job, Althea. Uh, I love going back and watching these because I get to find just little things that y'all mention or read. These are fun, and I'll share this with y'all so you can go back and do the same because it's kind of hard to take it all in once, but then you gotta let it simmer a little bit. But great job, Althea. Great job. All right, Sawyer.
Hello, my name is Sawyer, and I am at the Buffalo National River. I put a map on the next slide so we could kind of see what we're working with. So, the Buffalo National River is actually across 4 separate counties. It's 135. This is one of the last undammed rivers in the US. It's a little bit longer. It's probably like 157, I think, total, but the park has 135 miles of it. We are actually divided into 3 separate districts that all along the park service. I was mostly in the middle district where the visitor center is. I've also gone down a few times to the lower district. That's where one of our ranger station is. That's about an hour. And then going to the upper district, that's where headquarters is and another area of ranger. It is also another hour to an hour and a half. So we are very spread out, very in the middle of nowhere. So it's definitely been very beautiful, very green, but described as a ribbon of national park. So just so you had an idea, if I say like middle district or upper district, that's kind of describing where I was on the map. but usually I stayed in the visitor center. So I hosted a lot of programs. They usually kind of were either repeats or just something that was kind of basic because there's two rangers here, there's two rangers in the lower district, three rangers in the lower district and two in the upper district. So there's not a lot of like extra help around. I did what I could in the stations that I was. So my favorite was the Japanese style fish printing, where we took some fish of the buffalo. You had kids paint it, and then they kind of got to make a stamp and take home and learn about the fish in the buffalo. I did a lot of birding and fishing tabling, especially when we had those rainy days. I got to do a bird presentation, like a slideshow of a lot of the common birds and like the hawks, the owls, hummingbirds. I did 2 tablings at some festivals. I did an elk fest, which we surprisingly have elk here in Arkansas. I did not know that before coming here, but there is elk here, and they do Arkansas Game and Fish do elk tags, and we go table there and talk about that and just the national park. And I was able to talk about birding and fishing there as well. I also helped with a river cleanup, which was a lot of fun. It was really fun just to get out on the river and see it and be out there. I did a lot of digital outreach. I hosted a World Migratory Day, which is really good. And then we did one summer school program. Probably the first week that I was there, we were able to host a school come, and we were able to teach them about the river and how it was formed and how the birds rely on the river and the fish rely on the river. So that was really cool. These are just some pictures of the programs, a lot of tabling, and lots of little just fun things to do during the day. So I wanted to really separate the fishing clinics and the bird walks from just the programs, because I feel like these were what we came here to do, was these fishing clinics and bird walks. And I was able to host one fishing clinic in the middle district and one fishing clinic in the lower district. My partner Joe and Louie came and helped me out. It was a great time. We were able to do stations and check through the passport and get kids fishing. We had 37 people total attend. We caught a lot of sunfish, a lot of these bluegill right here in the middle. And then I hosted 4 bird walks and did that one bird program. We had 26 people. Bird walks were a challenge, which I will talk about later, but there's a ton of cool birds here. There's over 200 species of birds here. It is so green, so green. So it's been great for birding. Some of my stats: I've talked to over 1,000 people. I've driven over 4,000 miles. Starting from Colorado to today, I've driven over 4,000 miles. My car, I got an oil change in the beginning, and I already need an oil change now. So putting in the miles for sure. I have identified and seen 55 birds that I've been able to add to our bird book. I'm working on a bird list right now for our website. I hosted 19 events. I caught 5 fish, saw 3 waterfalls, and had 2 tick bites, and had 11 ticks on me, but only 2 bit me. So I know the shame, but I just had to add that in there. Some of the challenges were, of course, being in a new environment. I've only ever driven through Arkansas. I've never been here, but it has been amazing. It's just so much different than I thought. I had no previous experience in any birding, any educational stuff. So this has been great. I really honed on to my student council programs to really bring this into life. That really shone through. My challenges with the bird walks were when you have a river in your backyard, you're not going to do a bird walk. I had 3 programs where I had 0 people attend the bird walks, which is, it happens. It's not, it was not the end of the world. I still bird walked. I still saw some awesome birds and took pictures of them. So that was definitely a challenge of even just outside of the bird walks and, getting people to come to these events and getting the word out to our community, because everybody's interested in floating in the river. And I don't blame them, especially when it's hot out, so it's just been definitely a challenge of getting out there and trying to tell as many people and still only having not as many, but even just one person is enough because that's one more person that's interested and learned about birds or learned the safe way to fish and handle them. So it's definitely been a challenge, but I have for sure worked through it. And then what I've learned and takeaways, definitely some social networking skills, the confidence needed to social network. A lot of it has been like, I have just been like, if they tell me no, then I'm just exactly where I was before. And I at least now know. And if they say yes, even better. So definitely been a work of social networking skills. I was a believer before this internship. You did not need to network. And how wrong was I? How wrong was I? So that definitely has changed. Having our EFTA internship here at Tyler Ben has been such a difference in programming, especially, a lot of time we have tons of over 100 people coming in a day, and the two that work here do such a great job, but it's so hard to have programs and maintain the front desk. So it's been so helpful, I think, being able to get them on the track of programs and programs they can do at the office and inside and at the front porch and not have to worry about the partner here. So that's been a really good learning spot. And then just national park standards, of course, and just the local history of the buffalo and how it became to be and homesteads. And it's awesome. And then my favorite part of the internship was actually being able to bird here. I saw so many birds, a lot of indigo buntings, a lot of summer tanagers. They're just so beautiful. They are so beautiful, so blue, so red. Oh my gosh, it was just amazing. It was amazing. So that has been really great. And just exploring up and down the Buffalo, there's so many beautiful bluffs, painted bluffs. There's so many waterfalls, good hikes. It's a very much of a hidden gem. If you are ever in Arkansas, I'm not telling you to skip hot springs, but hit here first before you go to hot springs. And then I just want to say thank you this has been, honest to God, the most meaningful job I have ever done in my life. This has been so amazing. I've been so overwhelmed with the support and from you guys and from my coworkers. It's just been so great to be able to help people connect from the community to the buffalo and to the birding aspect and to the fishing aspect. And it's just been so awesome. It's been great. I've loved doing this. If I could do this full time, I would, but that is a track for another day. Got to finish school first. But thank you guys so much. It's been so great.
Great job, Sawyer. Just amazing. Good job. Good job. Claps all around.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nicely done. All right. Sarah.
Hi, everyone. I've been the Fish and Feathers intern for the Cape Cod National Seashore for this summer. So these are my numbers so far. I'd like to point out that I've been extended as well until the end of August, so all of these numbers will change except for the sunrise one. I do want to talk about the states and the countries. One thing I wanted to do for my internship was track where people were from. I wanted to talk to as many people as I could from as many different places. So I've spoken to about half the country so far, and the countries I've talked to people, they've been from China, Brazil, Germany, Sweden, and Lithuania, which I think is really cool. They've come all this way just to see Cape Cod. And these are some of my favorite sunsets that I've seen so far because I really think there's nothing comparable to a Cape Cod sunset. These are all of the events that I've been a part of for so far. My main programs have been weekly surf casting clinics and a bird walk. So for the weekly surf casting clinics, we teach people how to fish from the beach. We do a short presentation and then we walk them down to the beach and we fish. We haven't caught any fish yet. We caught one minnow by accident, but it's a really fun experience and people learn a lot from it. in the second leg of my internship, I'll be taking that over. So I'll be doing a lot of the talking, which I'm really excited to do. For the bird walk, this is a program that I designed and I created. Um, I give a short presentation on birding. It's geared towards people that are trying to get into it, like myself, so we can all learn from each other. I touch on beginners, basics, migration, how Cape Cod is used by birds and migratory birds. And then we go for a walk. And the trail that I chose goes through a lot of different habitats that the Cape has to offer. So I touch on how those habitats are used by the birds as we pass by them. The other events that I've been a part of have been larger events and really kid-friendly and family-friendly. My favorite event so far has been the Blue Star Families Hike and Swim. I met this one girl named Kalina. She was 12 years old and she was so interested in everything that I was talking about and everything, all the books I had with me and all my props. And I really loved experiencing her curiosity through the eyes of someone that's very young. Um, and all of these pictures are events that I've been a part of. So the top one is the surf casting. I've done kayak adventures. That bottom left is a great blue heron we saw this morning. That was a last minute addition. And then the other two are from the bottom right is my first program I did it was a middle school trip. And then those middle ones, that was my first bird walk. I had 8 people. And the last one was a rec center program with little kids, which was really fun. One of my favorite parts of my internship has been tabling. I really love the research and planning that goes into creating a table. I've been able to pick really whatever topic I wanted to under the umbrella of fish and feathers. And I love the creativity that goes into designing the table as well. So I created this poster that's in the middle there, just so everyone can see as they come in to the visitor center kind of what's going on. So I can just change it out based on the topic of what I'm interested in doing that day. So on the left-hand side, I tried to pick two that was fish and feathers of my favorite ones I've done. This is the Sharks of Cape Cod table. So the bottom picture is when I did the table for the first time. I did it down at the beach so I could explain that shark sign behind me. But then I reached out to the Atlantic White Shark Conservancy, which is a nonprofit here that partners in shark research. And I just reached out to see if they had any props I could borrow. And they reached out to me and said that they had 3 tags I could borrow, 2 sets of jaws. I'm holding one in the picture and a shark vertebrae. And I love sharks, so that's why this is my favorite table. But I was also really proud of myself for sending that email and for that interaction to go so positively. I just didn't expect it to go like that. So that made me really happy. And then on the right-hand side, we have the bird habitats of Cape Cod table. This was my favorite table because kids could make their own bird's nest, and I really love seeing their creativity. And then every nest, of course, has a story that has to go with it. And after they finish, they would explain it, which was really cute. But this kind of touches on the same thing as my bird walk, just how birds use Cape Cod, and not all birds make their nests in trees. I was able to do some shadowing opportunities and field work while I've been here. I went on 2 different bird walks at the Audubon Center with David Shapiro, and I've learned so much from him. I modeled some of my bird walk aspects after his. He's just been so knowledgeable. Horseshoe crab tagging was one of, if not my favorite day so far. I love horseshoe crabs, and I learned so much and met these really nice girls. I was able to design a whole table just from everything I learned during that day for International Horseshoe Crab Day. And it was really cool to contribute meaningfully to an ongoing study. We were tagging these horseshoe crabs for the Fish and Wildlife and the state. And then I was able to go salt marsh monitoring, which is another ongoing study that's going on in the park. And I learned about marsh vegetation, which I didn't really know a lot about. I've seen marshes my whole life, didn't really know what grew there. And I learned why these marshes are so important and why they need to be protected. So I liked contributing to that study as well. The bottom right is a picture of an eastern kingbird, which has become one of my favorite birds. I just think they're really cool and they're actually a really good sized bird. So I saw that on my first walk with David Shapiro, and the oyster catcher is a bird I saw on my second walk. And then the other pictures are just examples of me in the field. So challenges that I faced, we all knew me in Colorado, and I was thrown out of my comfort zone, and I lacked confidence. And I remember the first day I asked Jose how he was driving this really big van around with all of us in it. He couldn't see the windows, and I was like, "How are you doing this?" And he said, "You just have to have confidence." And that has stuck with me through my entire experience. And I really had to just fake it till I made it. I felt so much better after Colorado, but once I got here, it was kind of like a mental game with like, can I do this? Like, why am I here? What is my role? How do I contribute meaningfully? And I really just had to put myself through it and figure it out. And I am so proud of myself. I'm so much more confident. I just like Lex said that she's changed as a person. I agree. I feel that way as well. Um, Birding was also a challenge just because this is a new hobby for me. I've done bird watching, but I've never done birding and actively trying to find birds and ID them. But I have gotten better at that, and I really enjoy finding birds that I can identify and pointing them out. Um, I have every day I've been here, I've really had a fun time. Everything has been my favorite part, but I did make a list that I want to read off, just so I didn't forget anything. So one of my favorite parts was living near the beach, and I could see the sunsets and get ice cream whenever I wanted to. I've been very fortunate to have my family visit me a lot, and they could see what I was doing. I've enjoyed the surf casting clinics, writing blog posts about my experiences, kayaking, meeting everyone and making friends. This national park has a really great sense of community that I've been so fortunate to be a part of. Everyone is so connected and so friendly, and I've really loved that. I've loved working with these rangers. I've learned so much from everybody. Um, the my last favorite thing that I want to point out is that picture in the top. So that's Dr. Greg Scomo, who I have met before, but I actually got to talk to him this time for like a while. And I went to this event with my grandpa. It was not work related. And I showed him my plans for my shark table, and he was so impressed. And I gave out my business card. That was one of the first ones I gave out, and I was so proud of myself. Um, so yeah, that was one of my favorite nights, and I got to share that with my grandpa, so I was very happy about that. And how this experience has impacted me, it's impacted me in so many ways that I can't really put into words, but I've just learned so much about myself and about Cape Cod. I'm very familiar with this area, but it's cool to see it from the lens of a visitor and from someone that works here. I have a newfound confidence that I will continue to build on. I've learned to say yes to every opportunity, even if I'm not sure about it. If I'm not sure if I can do it, I just say yes and I figure it out because you never know where um, a path will lead you. My eyes have been open to so many different career opportunities and ideas that I wouldn't have got to experience if I hadn't said yes. And I have learned to talk to everyone and ask questions because that's how you learn and make those meaningful connections. I've learned a lot of things skills wise as well. The biggest thing I've learned is interpretation. I've never done that before. So being able to share Cape Cod with visitors was really cool because I love it here. So sharing that love with them was awesome. Working with kids and adults, that was really cool as well. And then just learning how to contribute meaningfully as an intern in this role because I was so unsure of it in the beginning, but I really think I figured it out. Um, I just want to say thank you to everybody on here. But I made another list so I wouldn't forget anybody because I wouldn't be here without everyone. So I want to say thank you to Environment for the Americas, my supervisors, Zach, Alusha, and Claudia, all the Cape Cod National Seashore Rangers and staff, the Friends of the Cape Cod National Seashore, the Natural Resource Management Team, my professors and school support, some of you are here, and my friends and family and my fellow Fish and Feathers interns. I wouldn't be here without all of your support, and just having you behind me has been so helpful. Community is so important to me, and I just feel so lucky to have all of your support. Um, so the top picture is us, and then the bottom picture, these are all the Rangers that I see on the daily. They've all been so patient with me and have answered all of my millions of questions. Very grateful for that. The top left are some friends that I've met. Madeline is in the middle, and we've really gotten to be close. The bottom left is my dog, who's been with me since May, and she's right next to me right now, passed out on the couch. So we've gone through this together. And then the bottom right is a picture of lupine flowers, and they grow up in Maine and New Sweden, which is where my Nana is from, and that's why I'm not gonna cry. That's why I have such a large connection to the Cape is because of her, and I know that she would be so proud of me today, with all the work that I've done on the Cape and just how much I've grown as a person. So thank you to everybody.
Just great job, Sarah. Really, really good job.
Thank you.
Great photos. I'm glad you took so much in, and yeah, you've grown. You definitely. We love seeing all of our interns grow over that short time. So yeah, just keep it
Thank you.
up.
And that's
Love
how I
seeing
sign my
you.
blogs now. You all just remember to have confidence.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Nelson.
Hey y'all, I'm Nelson Stallworth, and I had the pleasure of being the intern at Cape Hatteras National Seashore on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. All right, so first off, just a little overview of some of the things that I was responsible for this summer. I would help to lead our surf fish with the ranger and our birdwalk programs with one other ranger. I would also supervise our visitor center slash park store and our lighthouse museum. And then I would also do ride alongs with our resource management division and help out with them on some field work as well. All right, so our field programs took place weekly. Our surf fishing program is held every Tuesday and our birdwalk every Thursday. Essentially, how the surf fishing program works was another ranger and I would meet everyone who had signed up uh, down in Frisco, which is about 20 minutes south. We'd give them a little crash course on how to work a spinning rod, how to fish from the surf, etc. And then we'd just let them go at it. It was always a great time, and I think it's been a great success. And to date, we've done this 6 times total, with another one scheduled next week, and we've had a total of 72 people attend, and we've caught a total of 12 fish with this program as well. Our bird walks were a little simpler. I and another ranger would meet near a beach access ramp every Thursday morning. So we have another one scheduled tomorrow as well. And we would have binoculars, a scope, and then a field guide for identification. And we'd start at a nearby marsh, and then we'd sort of walk along the ramp out to the beach, and we'd pass a couple of salt ponds on our way out to the shore. So we'd get a couple of good environments. And much of the shore was actually cordoned off to protect for shorebird activity. And we've had a total of 5 of these programs so far, with 25 attendees total. And my count on the different bird species spotted so far has been 32 different ones, which is a big number for me. And then another one of my duties was to supervise the visitor center. Here I would do one of two things. I would either be seated at a sort of help desk and advise people on various park related things from, off-road driving and beach fire permits to, the locations of different beach accesses or walking trails. And then if not at the help desk, I would have my own resource table set up inside the visitor center with a variety of props or cool items that I would use to engage visitors and just try to give their experience a little bit of educational enrichment. My resource tables tended to be based around the level of the seashore. And it was always great to teach the visitors something about our sea turtles or about some of the shorebirds that they're likely to see while out here. And over the course of the summer, I've done 7 resource tables and engaged a total of 88 people in the visitor center, give or take. The Lighthouse Museum was similar to the visitor center in that my primary duty was to supervise the goings-ons while also being present to answer any questions that they may have, mostly regarding the lighthouse itself. And I actually started keeping track only about a month back on how many times I got asked when the lighthouse restoration project would be finished, and we're up to 106 times. The museum is also the primary place that the kids would go to become junior rangers, and I've had the pleasure of swearing in 40 kids this summer, which was always really fun to do. We can go to, yeah. All right, and working with resource management was also a great time, but in a very different way. Essentially, the day would begin with us patrolling one of 3 sections on the beach on Hatteras Island, and then searching for turtle nests. We'd usually find 2 to 3 a day on the runs that I went on, and then we would put up the signs, rip it off, and then we'd pull one egg from the nest for DNA testing. And after finishing up the turtles, we would then go to any number of areas that have been sectioned off for shorebird activity and monitor and note all of the behaviors there. Once that was all done, we'd head back to the ranger station to clean the trucks and put all the data into the computer and whatnot. And I got to do three of these ride-alongs this summer, and it's really cool. It's been a great year for sea turtle nesting with upwards of 300 and I think 330 at this point being found so far, and the number keeps climbing. And we're actually, if things keep going, we're on track to beat 2019's record of 473. So it was really great working with the resource management team out here and getting to learn a lot about the field work that they do. That's been a really enriching experience. All right, and just to go through some of the challenges that I faced out here, it hasn't been completely sunshine and rainbows. It was definitely an adjustment, getting used to living, an hour and a half away from the nearest Walmart. The secluded nature of Cape Hatteras, it definitely did get a little bit difficult to handle sometimes. This was also my first time living completely independently outside of like a university environment, which is a little bit different. So, having to do things like, you know, like buy groceries, for example, was kind of a rude awakening a little bit. And then, of course, um, as with any environment where you're working with, such accredited and knowledgeable people like we have at Cape Hatteras, it was also it can be very easy to fall into comparisons and things, and you start to feel a little bit inadequate next to your colleagues. So there was a little bit of imposter syndrome creeping in there as well early on, but I'm lucky that we have such a supportive and encouraging team here that it wasn't long before I felt like I'd really found my footing. And on that note, some of the biggest things that I've learned outside of just of course the wildlife and the history of Hatteras and the lighthouse is definitely how to plan and lead programs. I definitely think I've gotten much better at preparation and foresight when it comes to leading programs, especially with a better understanding of how volatile your plans and your circumstances can be. And in a similar vein, I've gotten much better at adapting to different, unpredictable situations. Because you can be hit with anything. Difficult visitors, unpredictable weather, equipment malfunctions. There are an infinite amount of things that can throw off a plan, and they will. And it's important to be able to navigate those things on the fly. Which kind of all that is to say that the main thing that I've really found is confidence really is key. I found that the most important thing, kind of to echo previous points, the most important ingredient to figuring things out is kind of presenting yourself like you've got it figured out, acting like you already have it figured out. Especially when you're in a leadership position, like, if you're out on a program, for example, people see the uniform and the badge and the name tag, and, ultimately they're going to follow your lead and they're going to be looking to you. And the most important thing is always just to keep a cool head and, to be able to figure out the best course of action in any given situation. So yeah, I just want to give a huge thank you to everybody at Environment for the Americas for their endless support and encouragement, and for just giving me this wonderful opportunity. It's been so great, and to all the interns as well. It was great to meet you all in Colorado, and I'm so glad to know you all and to know that everybody's doing so well. And then, of course, I want to thank everybody at Cape Hatters for welcoming me and for being such a great team. I'm a big believer in, your job is only as good as the people you work with will allow it to be. And I'm really blessed to be able to say that everybody I've worked with has helped to make it just an absolutely amazing experience. So thank you so much to everybody.
Great job, Nelson. Thank you so much. Very, very cool. Oh, love that. All right. Here's the last one of the day. Annika.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, there you are.
Okay, awesome. Well, hi guys. I've been working at the Upper Delaware Scenic and Recreational River this summer. And yeah, thank you. So yeah, I've had a really great time here. Our entire park is a river, and we have like a couple hiking trails, but it's mostly a water-based park. So the first day that I got here, we had a fishing program or like fishing training, which was a lot of fun, and then we dove straight into canoe training for 3 days. And we learned a lot of different strokes and a bunch of like types of turns and stuff. And it was a lot of fun. I had never been on a canoe before, I don't think I'd even been on a kayak before, so it was a completely new experience. And I got to meet a bunch of amazing people. And then after that, I started planning programs and giving programs, which was super fun. I did a couple pop ups at some of our accesses, and I did that with Desi since she was stationed in the park that's around an hour south of me. So that was pretty fun. We talked about American shads, eel weirs, which are big fishing traps. We talked to the people about local birds in the area, and we gave tattoos with face paint. So that was a lot of fun. And then I gave some programs. I did one on bald eagles. I actually have a program tomorrow on fish. It's not a fishing clinic, but I'm going to be talking to a youth center about types of fish, how to fish, fish identification. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then we're going to do fish prints. I think someone mentioned that they did that earlier. Um, we also work a lot of festivals, and we actually hosted a festival, which is one of the pictures I have up there. It's called the Zane Grey Festival because one of our like big selling points is that there was this guy named Zane Grey who lived here, and he basically invented the Wild West genre. So he's kind of a big deal, and he started like all those cowboy movies and all that stuff. And yeah, so we hosted this big festival a couple weeks ago, and we had people from all over the area come in as vendors, and we had live animals, live music, a lot of food. It was a lot of fun, and I worked the arts and crafts table. Um, so yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then I had a couple fishing clinics, and I have a couple more coming up in my last week here. And I also got to work with the Natural Resource Department a few times, which was amazing. And we went around the river, we would take samples of the water, send it in for testing, and we would do some of the testing ourselves. We looked at like the macroinvertebrates and stuff that lived in the river. And yeah, it was a pretty nice experience. So that's one of the pictures I have up there. So, some of the challenges that I had to get used to, I would say the biggest challenge, which I know a lot of you guys have also said, is just living in a rural setting. Because this is probably the most rural area that I've ever lived in. And yeah, that was an adjustment, but it's actually really grown on me. I think I'm still a city girl at heart, but I've definitely been able to appreciate all the nature around me. Um, and yeah, and kind of just not having like a Chipotle or a tropical smoothie cafe near me. That's been a big thing. And like food that I used to eat all the time. Um, Another challenge was learning how to design and deliver programs because I've done some informal, like working with kids, working with educational stuff in the past, but nothing like this for the National Park Service. So that was a whole learning curve for me. And I looked at templates from other people and shadowed, and that was a lot of fun. And then I got to start doing programs on stuff that I was interested in, so I gave one on eagles. I'm doing one on songbirds next week, so I'm really looking forward to that. Another challenge was learning about the local species in the area, and that wasn't crazy challenging because I'm from Virginia, so and now I'm in like the Pennsylvania, New York area, so it's all East Coast stuff. But there were definitely a couple new species, and I also had to know my species a lot better than I have in the past, so that was another thing I had to work on. But what I've learned from this experience, the biggest thing that I've learned is planning ahead and being organized because I've been like, I tend to be pretty type B. So this has really had me getting on top of it, making programs ahead of time, having outlines ready, having my supplies ready. I learned a lot more about what it's like to work for the National Park Service and I guess the government in general, all the regulations and all that. I learned more about local fish and birds, the Upper Delaware history, like I mentioned, Zane Grey, and some of our indigenous tribes, and all of that. And I got a lot better at practicing visitor engagement, and like a couple of you guys mentioned, like better social skills and adapting to your audience. So, yeah, so some successes I've had included giving programs and adapting my programs based on the turnout. Like, for example, I gave this program a couple weeks ago where we had advertised it to children, and my entire turnout was all adults. So I had to definitely adapt some of my analogies and metaphors that I had planned to use to say stuff that pertain more to adults. It was actually a bit easier because I didn't have to simplify my material and I could go more into detail. So that was pretty nice. It was just something I had to think on the fly for. Another success was getting my ACA certification with all the canoe training. We had 3 days in the beginning and then 2 more days around halfway through my internship for the advanced training. And I could definitely see a lot of improvement in myself. So I was pretty proud of that. And then, like, just learning about working in a new setting, that's a success, which I had because it was a lot to get used to, and I feel a lot more comfortable now. So this was just a very nice growing experience, and I'm really grateful for it. So I wanted to say thank you to EFTA for organizing this whole experience, and thank you, UpD, for the amazing people I met and making my summer unforgettable.
Okay, and that concludes the first day of presentations. Honestly, y'all, my face is hurting from all the smiling and all the great things that I'm hearing. Yeah, thank you so much for being so thoughtful with your presentations. I mean, that's the only way that we get to know all the things, and I know there's so many more things that y'all did that didn't mention, but this is so great. And it makes us as EFTA team just be very happy to see the growth, see the things that you've learned, how you push yourself out of your comfort zone, and yeah, I just want you to kind of just keep that going. Just remember this opportunity, like many that will be coming up in your future, they're going to be new, and so just have some confidence to get it done, and and everybody's going to have a little bit of that nervousness, and that's okay because it's a new experience, but don't let anything like that stop you from having a good from trying something new and growing. So I just want to say thank you for pushing yourself. Thank you for doing such a great job with these presentations. And yeah, anything else from F the team?
Great job, everybody. Jose, my face also hurts from smiling so much. For an hour and a half, I've been smiling. Seriously, yeah, y'all, like I've said in the webinars, hearing about y'all's experiences and everything you're learning and doing makes my day. So just to have, one after another, an hour and a half of that is really special. We really are so proud of everything that y'all have gotten to do and learned and the growth and like recognizing your own growth. That's really awesome. So thanks so much for sharing and putting so much effort into these presentations. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I echo the same thing. Thank you, everyone, for being here and staying on for today's webinar. It's awesome to hear about your experiences, your growth, your learning, everything that Claudia and Jose mentioned. So again, congratulations on having a fantastic summer and excited for all the knowledge and everything that you'll take with you moving forward as well. So please all keep in touch.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we will see each other again tomorrow for the continuation of day 2. Thank you so much. Have a great day. I love this. Have
Thank
a
See
good
y'all
you.
one, Tom.
tomorrow.
Bye, everyone.
Thank
See you
Have a good
tomorrow.
you.
evening.
Bye.
Stop recording.